Okay, go ahead.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الضحى والضحى والليل إذا سجى ما ودعك ربك وما قلى وللآخرة خير لك من الأولى ولسوف يعطيك ربك فترضى ألم يجدك يتيما فآوى ووجدك ضالا فهدى ووجدك عائلا فأغنى فأما اليتيم لا تقهر وأما السائل لا تنهر وأما بنعمة ربك حدث. Sorry.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you so much for that. Alhamdulillah. Thank you so much. Okay, so I would love it if we can go around and everyone introduce yourself, and also you can introduce what work you do within this team or within your because I don't know too much about your setup. I from what I understand that there's different play groups, is it in different cities or different areas? And so if you could go around and introduce yourself personally, tell me a little bit about you so I can have some background on who you are, and then also what your role is or what you do within the setup. And what I'm really aiming to do is to make these lives as tailored to you as possible, so that when you walk away from this, there is going to be some benefit that you will give to the children, inshallah, from based on this. So in order for me to do that, I need to know more about yourselves. So should we go around? Should I just pick a name at random? Yeah, should we start with Kausar, since you were the first one who joined in the Zoom?
That's okay. My name is Kausar, and I just recently, I always been going to Jameelah playgroup with my children, and my oldest son is 13 now, so I've been going since he was 3.5 or 3, yeah. And but now I'm helping as playgroup, helping mom. I just started recently, and yeah, just learning as I go ahead, and I think this is so beneficial. That's why I joined today.
Alhamdulillah, that's great. Lovely. So you're just starting off, so it's all new to you, is it? Except
yeah, I have always been attending the group, okay. But I have just started doing the play group, running the play group.
Okay, lovely. Okay, great. Next, shall we, Jean, I think you were the next who joined the Zoom, if I'm correct. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Jean. This is my 9th year with Ummah. So I teach with Rania. We share our space.
Sorry, the audio is a little bit difficult for me to hear.
Maybe your microphone, if you have speakers.
Are you?
I've got headphones.
Do you want to just hold the mouthpiece closer to your mouth? No, for the headphones. Do you want to hold the
Oh, it doesn't have one.
Okay.
Like the in-ear one.
Okay. All right, go ahead then. Let me try and shut that. Okay.
So yeah, I've been doing this for 9 years now. And yeah, I work with Rania together. So we are there 3 days a week. And outside of that, I also am the vice president of Jameelah and the enrollment officer and the head of the preschool program.
Wow, very busy then.
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, lovely. And Hannah, would you like to introduce yourself?
Assalamu alaikum. I know I've been 2 years, I think I've been part of the Ummah Jameelah committee as just helping out with social media and advertising. But maybe 3 years it's been since I joined the actual play group with my son when he was 2. So he's 4.5, so yeah, nearly 3 years. And yeah, it's been just the whole Ummah Jameelah community has helped me, you know, mentally, and yeah, just dealing with motherhood. And yeah, since just becoming like a fresh Muslim, I didn't have any Muslim friends. So yeah, that was just connecting with Muslim mums. So yeah, I appreciate having this opportunity as well to learn like the Montessori method, to implement it, inshallah.
Inshallah. So are you also working with the children? Like, I think so. I heard some of you are working with like toddlers, and some of you with a bit older. Is that
Yes,
right?
the rest of the Ummah Jameelah is committee is the facilitators, both the preschool program and the play group. But yeah, I'm not involved in that so much.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, great, thank you. And then Fida.
Assalamu alaikum. I started with Ummah Jameelah as a facilitator in 2019. My children have attended Ummah Jameelah since 2012. So yeah, alhamdulillah, it was my saving grace moving from another state to here. I didn't know anyone, and Ummah Jameelah became my family, and now I facilitate 2 days a week.
Lovely.
Yeah, 3 4-year-olds. I'm diploma qualified early educator, and I have done some training in a Montessori center
Okay.
as part of my work experience.
Okay. And how did you find that? When you were in the Montessori center?
That was very good. It was a bit different, but having children, you know, lead you with their interests and whatnot. That I think that sits better with me than sort of confining kids to a certain program, which doesn't always suit everybody. So yeah.
Okay, lovely, great. Okay, Rania.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Rania. I'm one of the facilitator. I run 3 sessions a week, and I've been working with Ummah Jameelah for 7 years now. But I worked before as a teacher aide at school and at childcare. So I've been in this environment for about like 13 years, working with children. Yeah, that's all.
Lovely, thank you so much. Okay, and Alia.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Alia, and I've been with Ummah Jameelah for as long as Kausar has. So I used to take my kids there, and then I went on to become the preschool program facilitator. Had more children, so now I'm doing the play group. I run the Thursday play group, and I'm also Fide's Arabic helper on Wednesdays.
Okay, lovely. Okay, lovely, great. So from what I kind of understand is that Ummah Jameelah is like you have different play groups. The children don't come every day, is that correct? They have like specific sessions that they come to, is it?
Yeah, so we run over, so I think Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Is that right, ladies? And we have different sessions at different locations in Melbourne, but just different suburbs.
Okay, I see. So is it just one that goes on at a time, or will you have different ones going on in different suburbs, you know, like simultaneously?
Yeah, like on Thursday, we have a play group, but we also have our preschool programs in 2 locations.
3
locations.
Okay, lovely. And do the parents come along for the play groups, or is it
for the play groups? The parents stay because we have children from 0 to 5 years at the play group, and then at the preschool program, we have a helper mum that stays. So they rotate. There's a facilitator and there's an Arabic helper.
And for the preschool, is it every day those 3 days you have preschool, or is it just once a week that there's a preschool session?
Maybe Jean can.
Jean can answer that because she's.
Oh, okay.
She's a
All right.
facilitator.
Okay, I see. But is it like the same children? So do you only see the child like once a week, or are you seeing them
Yeah.
more often?
No, once a week for 3 hours.
Okay, once a week for 3 hours. So you don't really have that much like golden time with the children. And they
And
probably-
it's about, there's roughly 12 to 14 children in each group.
okay.
So there'll be 3 adults. So there'll be us as facilitators, there'll be an Arabic teacher, and then there'll be a rotating parent roster.
Okay.
So each week our parent will stay just to be an extra pair of hands.
Okay.
But yeah, so it's roughly, I think most of our groups are 12. There's a couple who maybe have 13, 14 children, but it's all 3 hours once a week.
Okay, so am I right in understanding this is kind of like an add-on for maybe they go to another preschool already, or have another
Yeah,
kind
most of them will do something else as well. So whether it's regular kinder or other early learning programs, most of the children will do more than one thing.
Okay, lovely. Okay, great. Just so that I understand where it's coming from, because if you're seeing the children once a week only for 3 hours, then of course, like you've got this very small window to observe them in, to get to know them in. But then it also means that you're meeting many other children. So you're having an impact on more than one group of children's lives. So that's really interesting. We are expecting a few others to join. Does anyone know if they're going to be coming, or should we?
Tenny should come. I'm not sure about Amreen. She hasn't responded in the group, but Tenny is finishing a class, but I'm not sure when.
Okay, I think I will just go ahead. I'll just introduce myself. So my name is Naseba. I am not from Malaysia, even though I am on Zoom from Malaysia. I'm from England, and I moved to Malaysia about 7 years ago. So I kind of know what it's like, what you guys are feeling in the West. I know the struggles that we go through. And that was really something that pushed me to become an educator back when I was a teenager. I really decided I want to take on education and be able to contribute things to the lives of children. But I've always been really interested in Islamic education, because I've always felt that often many children or families are kind of let down by what they received. And that's what I felt at that time. I know there's been like lots of advancement in Islamic education. There's been a lot of improvement, and many beautiful centers, whether they're Montessori or they're not Montessori, there's many, many beautiful centers that have opened up over the years. But at that particular time, like in I took my Montessori training in 2002. So in that time, it was really difficult to find, a center or a school for whichever age level it was that you could really go that could enlighten the faith in the child, and I always believe that since our Islamic belief is so beautiful, and since we have all these wonderful names of Allah, the 99 names of Allah that are so beautiful, the way that we deliver education should really be like a pivotal part of helping children to fall in love with their creator, and helping children, especially the youngest of children, helping them to fall in love, helping them to connect to their creator, so that they've really built this beautiful foundation of their faith before they move on to the rest of their schooling or the rest of their education. So I did start in early childhood, and I was in that for a good number of years. And I had my son, and when I had him, then I thought, well, hang on a minute, what's going to happen next? Because if we don't have this beautiful Islamic Montessori education for him when he's, what kind of school is going to go to, and how is that going to impact him? Who's that going to support him to become? So I trained for elementary, and then I trained for adolescence, which is until the age of 18. And I basically just went full on and trained as a Montessori teacher for all the different stages, but always keeping in mind that the aim and the reason that I was doing this was so that we could really benefit the Muslim Ummah and really help these Muslim children who are being raised in very difficult times, and support them so that they can lay the best foundation at the beginning of their life. So I am Montessori trained from 0 to 3, 3 to 6, 6 to 9, and also 6 to 12, and 12 to 18. So I took all of that training. And in England, we opened up a Islamic Montessori school called Alamia School It's still running, but it's under different management now. And that was really like, I would say, the first Islamic Montessori school in England that was registered by Ofsted, and Ofsted is our inspectors body. And, you know, just before I came to Malaysia, I managed to get an outstanding rating for that school. So for the UK government to give an Islamic school with hijabis, you know, doing Montessori, so we're not doing the mainstream, for them to give us outstanding was a huge achievement, because we stuck to our Islamic values. And it was a really beautiful experience. But I knew that no matter how much I did, there was always a limit, because I was in England and my son was growing older. He was 12 at the time. And I just decided that if I'm going to migrate to another country, I've got to do it now and try it out, you know, and then, you know, if it doesn't work out, I can always come back to England. But I moved to Malaysia, and alhamdulillah, it's been wonderful here. There's no turning back for me. Malaysia it's got a very beautiful marriage between modern life and Islamic traditions. So you don't feel like you're living in a third world country, because it's not, it's a developed country. So you don't feel like you're living in a third world country. You can have certain comforts and things, but at the same time, they're so rooted in the Islamic tradition in this really beautiful way that it's alhamdulillah, it's been a wonderful, it was a wonderful decision to make. And it's given me the opportunity to really go into the work that we want to do as Muslim educators, as you know, Montessori educators. So my work is very much focused on Montessori, but I do believe that there's so much that's applicable, even if you're not going to specifically be a Montessori guide. So you're all joining here, but you're not specifically going to be in a Montessori classroom or have all the Montessori materials. But the philosophy behind Montessori and, you know, the way it helps us to view the child and understand the child, it's relevant to anybody, whether you are joining as a parent or you're joining as an educator, or, you know, whatever situation you're in, even if you're just in a forest with children and you don't have any materials, the Montessori philosophy is really, really beneficial in helping us to understand the child and how to move forward with the child. So that's really, so yeah, so that's me, Nusayba. If you're interested in looking at what my school looks like, you can go to my Instagram, which is Rumi Montessori. I upload all these little cute videos just to share and keep people inspired. And what I'm hoping that we'll do is that, you know, you've been signed up to an overview course. So this is basically an overview of Montessori for the 3 to 6 year olds. The course itself has 2 elements. One is the philosophy and one is the material aspect. So the material aspect, we will have to look at how that's going to be applicable to you, because there's things like practical life that are really easy for you to bring in into your play groups, easy for you to bring in even into your toddlers' environments and so on. And then we have things like language, which if you go through that, it will really help you, especially those of you doing Arabic. If you apply those principles to the Arabic, it's going to make it really, really effective. We use the Montessori materials in Arabic for our children, and it's really beautiful to see them walking around, having all this Arabic vocabulary, being able to read and write and do things that even I can't do because my Arabic is appalling, you know, but we apply it to the philosophy, and we apply the philosophy and they do amazing. But I think the main thing for you all is really that we kind of focus in on the philosophy of understanding the children from 0 to 6 years, right? So that's what we will focus on during our live sessions. And the course is over 15 weeks. So have you all managed to log into the platform? Has everyone managed to log into the platform?
Yep.
Anyone who hasn't? Do you want to, if you haven't, do you want to unmute yourself?
Yeah, I haven't.
Okay, so those of you who haven't, you can, if you just drop me a message so that I can try and help you to understand how to log in and so on. And you know, what we'll do is I'm going to send out a schedule that's going to have the weeks so that you know which week to look at. So when you log into the platform, you know which week to focus on. And what we'll do is when we have our live sessions, we're going to have 10 live sessions. When we have those live sessions, I'm planning to take you through the philosophy as well. but I'm going to take you through it more from an Islamic viewpoint. So the course that you were signed up for is not just Muslims who join. I have many students who join from different faiths. So we don't really talk about the Islamic principles there. But what we'll do is when we have our live sessions, we will go through from the Islamic. I did invite for everybody to join our course that we had on the weekend. We had a really lovely course last weekend. Hannah joined us on the Zoom, but I know that it was really heavy because it was literally 2 full days in front of the screen.
It was so intense, so intense.
It was really intense, and it was even more intense for me because I was like talking for 7 hours. At the end of the day, when my husband came back, he was like talking to me. I was like, darling, I can't talk to you anymore. Finished all my talking power. So I think what might be really nice is if we go through that state slowly with you guys, so that we're focusing on hour at a time, so that you can benefit from that as well. And for Hannah, you will hear things again, but yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, okay, great, alhamdulillah. And what I want us to do is I don't want it just to be me lecturing, but I want us to also discuss things, to answer questions, to have certain activities that we go through, so that it's the most useful for you. So if there is an area of learning that you feel particularly will benefit you as a group, please let me know. Please let me know which area of learning or which aspect of your playgroup do you think that I can come in and help you more. I mean, I've done this with quite a few different school groups, and they all come up with different things. Sometimes it will be about parent partnership, sometimes it will be about behavior management, sometimes it will be about observation, whatever it may be. We can tailor this so that it really supports you in the work that you do. And since you are all kind of at different levels and have different experience, then we can we can do things in a way that everybody will also get some benefit from that. Yeah. So there's 2 more ladies who joined us, Amreen and Penny. So would you like to introduce yourselves?
Sure. Hi, my name is Tenny. Assalamu alaikum. I homeschool for my kids, and I'm the facilitator for Ummah Jameelah, and I run the Tuesday and Wednesday session. And I also do some volunteer work at the Albanian Youth Centre on Saturdays, dealing with kinders, kids, and preps to grade 1s. Practically, that's me in a nutshell.
Okay, great, lovely. So how old are your children that you're homeschooling?
I have she's almost 13, a 13-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 9-year-old, and the youngest just turned 7.
Oh, mashallah. Lovely.
Yeah.
And Amreen, are you there as well to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm here. Assalamu alaikum. So my name is Amreen, and I have been a playgroup facilitator from the air. It's been a few years. I think my oldest son was about 6 months old when I took over, and he's 8 right now. So I have so our playgroup is the age group is about 0 to, I'd say 4-ish. Sometimes we have 5-year-olds, but over here at 5 years old they do go to school. So most of the times we do have really 0 to that 3 to 4-year-olds coming to our playgroup. Yeah.
Lovely. Okay, thank you. Okay, so one thing I did miss out is I have one child, only one actually biological children. I've got many children, but I've got one biological child who's 19 years old, and he lives on his university campus. So he's had a Montessori education. He's also been homeschooled for part of his life, and I will mention him a lot because he's been one of my biggest teachers. Allah blessed me with an incredibly strong-willed autistic child who made sure that he tested everything that I believed in and everything that I did. And it's been wonderful because he's also taught me so much. So I will bring him up. And one more thing is that where I actually live, it's my husband and I have about 4 acres of land in Malaysia, and we have a madrasa. Madrasas are like Islamic schools where they only teach religious subjects, but it's for adolescents. So we have students from about the age of 13 plus, and they actually live here with us. So it's like a boarding school, but an Islamic boarding madrasa. So that's why, I mean, I have loads of other children because they call me like Ummi, and I'm basically like the mummy to all these like teenagers at the same time. And my husband is like the daddy to them. And also we teach them and everything. So we, and really, you know, we try to give them life skills as well. And madrasas are something quite traditional in Malaysia. The first time I came to Malaysia, that's when I actually saw them. So I don't know if you have anything similar in Australia, but it's really going on to the next stage. So if you hear noise or you hear singing or you suddenly hear drumming or something like that, it's probably some of the teenagers having, having some fun somewhere. So just, I'll keep going through all of that. Okay. So let's start with the most important thing that I like all of our Muslim educators to do before they actually, we actually work on anything that's formal, and that is to renew our intention. Okay, so the first step I want us all to do is to really, really think about, why do we do what we do? You're all choosing to work with children, whether you've come into it because you're an educator or you came into it because you're a parent. We've all come into this, with an intention. Being an educator is a very prophetic profession, because the Prophet Muhammad SAW himself was an educator. He was our educator. He was the educator for the whole of the Ummah. So being an educator, it's really prophetic in its nature. And we have the opportunity, by setting our intention in the right place, we have the opportunity of making all of our time and energy and effort that we spend educating children can actually be ibadah, can actually be a form of worship. It can be written down by the angels as worship. And for me, thinking of it like that has always been such, so soothing, because I'm not the kind of person that has, I don't pray all night, or I don't have time to read loads of Quran or do loads and loads of extra acts of worship. So when I know that having the right intention can make our effort be counted as ibadah, then it's really soothing for me, because I know that inshallah, if I keep renewing my intention, then inshallah, it's going to be written for my akhirah as well, not just for the work that I do here. And the second thing is that when you have the right intention, if you put your intention so that you're doing this for the benefit of the child, for their dunya, for their akhirah, for the sake of Allah, when you have the right intention, there's a really special barakah that comes along to support you to do what you do. There's a real special barakah, as Muslims, we can believe that the angels will be there supporting us. We can believe that, Allah will send that support, and He will make every effort, or every word we say, or every penny we spend, He will make it full of barakah if He chooses to. But for that all to happen, we have to put our intention in the right place. So I'm inviting you just to take a moment to just renew your intention. And things are so much stronger when we write them down. So write down what your intention is. Take a minute to just write down, what is your intention for the work that you're doing? So we'll pause for a second so that you can write. And I do like our discussions to be dynamic. So I will be asking you guys to contribute here and there. And sometimes I'll put you on the spot, but not always, don't worry. It'll be sometimes only. Okay. So really think about your intention and just try to formulate that into words. And I recommend, if possible, that you put it somewhere where you're going to see it each day before you interact with those children. And even as a mother, a lot of what's we're going to discuss in this course is relevant to you as a mother as well. So, hopefully this can benefit your own children. So create the intention even as a mother. But what is it that is really the deep down intention in your soul for why you're doing what you do? And for me as an educator, when I first started off in 2002 getting my Montessori training, I remember that my intention was something that I really had to hold really close to my heart, because back in those days, you know, there was so much Islamophobia. I remember I was the only one in the Montessori training college who wore a hijab. I was the only one in the school who wore a hijab. When I went to do my internship in the Montessori school, there were parents who just were horrified to see a Muslim, even though it was like a Muslim with a white face, and you know, like I was from England, you know, but still they were horrified at the fact that there's a Muslim with their children. So I had to really hold that intention close to my heart through all the struggles that I went through. And I think that's really what kept me, you know, so many years later, still remembering the mission that we're on. You know, the reason that I chose Montessori is not to be a Montessori educator in itself, because it doesn't really matter whether you're a Montessori educator or a Waldorf educator or just a regular educator. The most important thing is the intention behind why you're doing what you're doing. If you have the right intention, Allah will guide you to everything that you need to support you on your journey with the children. And so many people that I know, parents and educators, Allah's guided them to Montessori. At some step of their life, Allah has guided them to Montessori education because it's so in line with the fitrah of the child. So we use Montessori because it's in line with the fitrah of the child. And there's so much that we as Muslim educators can benefit and learn from what Dr. Montessori said. And that's why we use the Montessori method itself. Okay, so these are actually the slides that I have from the talk that we did on the weekend. And I think that they will be helpful if we go through them. And these coincide, a lot of them do coincide with the videos that you'll have on the platform that you'll be able to access. So now that you've defined, you've kind of clarified your intention and you're clear about why you do what you do, let's look at education in itself. Education is really one of those things that so many of us in this modern day have had, you know, we've had our understanding of education fed to us, whether it's through the media or through our school system or through society. We've kind of had this idea of education fed to us, and we really have to kind of deconstruct it and then construct a new idea of what education is. Because education in itself, it's something very, very important in our Islamic belief. It's really, really something that's emphasized throughout the Quran, throughout the Hadith, is emphasized a lot. So if you look at the Oxford Dictionary, you'll see that the definition for education is that it is the process of receiving or giving systematic instruction, especially at a school or university. So they're talking about systematic instruction, giving it or receiving it, and at a school or university. So really emphasizing a place. And this is straight out the Oxford Dictionary. So you can see that that definition itself is really limiting. It's limiting that learning is something that takes place in a school, or learning something that takes place in a university. So what about learning that takes place in a kitchen, or learning that takes place in a forest, or learning that takes place when you're having hugs from your mom and your dad at nighttime before you go to sleep? What about all of that? What about the learning that happens in a bath? You know, this kind of definition is straight away removing all of these other life opportunities, which for as long as human beings have been here, have been part of education. Okay, and if you look at the Cambridge Dictionary, there's a definition that's very similar. It's education is the process of teaching or learning, especially in a school or college, or the knowledge that we get from this. So you can see that the definition, the modern day definition of education, is really shaping all of us to think of curriculum. Think of curriculum, think of lessons, think of a teacher, children sitting, as in the picture, facing forward in a school or a formal setting, And that's where they get that's where they get taught, that's where they learn. So if you're not doing that as an adult, you're not a teacher then. And I'm really glad that you guys use the term facilitator, because that's a term that we use in Montessori a lot, facilitator, because what we actually do are facilitating learning, facilitating the learning that's taking place with the children. But, you know, society, wherever we are in the globe nowadays, you know, has this idea that education is very much something that's happening in a school or happening in a formal setting. And so that's where the emphasis goes. And often we find ourselves trying our best to kind of recreate this learning situation wherever we go, because that's how we feel that learning will take place. But actually, education was happening long before schools were invented. Education was taking place generations and generations before the modern schooling system started. You know, we can't say that the history of mankind, the time of the Prophet Yusuf or the time of Prophet Ibrahim, we can't say that they didn't have education going on. Of course they had education going on. The whole of the history of mankind, there's been models of education that have been supporting the growth of the child into an adult human being. So what happens to those then, since our modern day education system is so narrow and so limiting? In fact, if you look at the root word for the word education, you have the Latin word educare, which means to raise or to bring up, or to lead forth or to bring out. There's nowhere here that mentions teacher or systematic instruction or a school or a university. That's not mentioned in the Latin root words for the word education. And, you know, and why is that? Because actually education is way beyond what happens in a school. It's way beyond what happens in a classroom where a teacher is systematically instructing. In fact, children can spend all day in a classroom and can learn nothing. And I think that, you know, most of us can agree that that either happened to us or happened to our children. We send them there and they can spend a whole day or a whole week and learn nothing. So that means that education is not going on there. And actually, at the same time, there's so many aspects to the human being that there are so many aspects to education, because we want to educate the whole human being. And those aspects cannot all happen in one room. They cannot happen in four walls with one person at the front instructing or systematically instructing a child on what to do. So we need to really have the right perspective of education. And I think that as Muslims, the best model for us to look at for education is the model of education that we see through the Prophet Muhammad SAW. And, you know, looking at the Quran, looking at the Sunnah, there is so much rich information about education that we have in our faith. So much rich information, but sometimes it's just not conveyed. It's not conveyed or not shared in a way that we can understand it easily, or not said enough. And in fact, if you go to many Islamic schools, they're not really truly educating the child. They're just delivering a curriculum or delivering certain lessons, but it's not really holistic in its education for the child. The Muslims in the golden era, they were at the forefront of education. They were the pioneers of education. The first university that was opened was by Muslims. The Muslims were the ones who were eager not just to study their own curriculums and their own books, but to go and to learn the knowledge from the ancient Chinese, and from the ancient Greeks, and from all sorts of different people from all over the world. And they gathered all the knowledge, they translated the knowledge, and they furthered the knowledge, took it to an even further step. So education was something that was so rich in our heritage as Muslims. And I always ask myself, what went wrong? What happened? How did we lose our own traditional Islamic education and become so fixated on the modern Western model of education? How did we do that? And it's global. I come to Malaysia They also have that they're so in love with the British curriculum in Malaysia. They have, the more Western the school is, the more better it is. They believe that. And I just look and I just think, you know, well, what happened in Malaysia before the British people colonized you? What happened before? Were your people not educated? Were your people not learned? Did they not grow up to be amazing people? And I also ask people, you know, since modern education, name one person in your country who did something amazing. Since modern education, name one person, one Muslim person. It's so hard because modern education it's pretty much strangling the life out of the child. And then the child grows up having lost touch with their inner teacher. And many of us who go through modern education, we grow up and at some point in our childhood, we lose touch with who we are actually supposed to be in terms of our own unique talents and our own unique way to contribute to society. We lose touch with it, our own creativity, our own talents. And because we try so hard to keep up with the curriculum, or we try so hard to keep up with standards. And then by the time we're adults, even if we've gone to university, even if we've got a job, at some point we turn around and we think, hang on a minute, who am I? Or what am I supposed to do? What is my contribution? So we know that that model of Western education or modern education, it's not really effective. And for us as Muslims, we are accountable for what we do with our children, and we are accountable for the community of children that are around us. And that's why it's really important that we take the time to explore education from a perspective that's in line with prophetic teachings. It's really important that we take that time. We know that in Islam, education is emphasized, and it was emphasized at the time of the Prophet Muhammad. Imagine we're talking about, you know, in something like probably 500 and, you know, by the time this hadith was studied, probably it was 600, the year 600. So we're talking about years ago, way before Maria Montessori, way before the modern school system. You know, just Google your country in the year 600 to kind of understand the state of affairs. England in the year 600 was terrible. You know, children had no rights, there was a lot of child labor, women had no rights. It was, you know, there's all these things that went on, and it was dirty and it was smelly, and they had a problem with sewage and so many things. When my son was like, when he was about 11 or 12, he was fascinated about researching the history of Britain, and he was so fascinated about how backwards the United Kingdom was at the time of the Prophet Muhammad. He was so fascinated. Our Prophet Muhammad was a pioneer who brought the emphasis of the child, the respect for the child, the importance of a good education, the importance of educating children, raising them well, of being sensitive to their needs. He's the one who brought this forward in a time where the rest of the world was very much in darkness. He came as a mercy, not just to us. He didn't come just as a mercy to us adults, giving us a belief system. He came as a mercy to the child at a time when children were not respected, at a time when girls who were born were buried alive. He came as a mercy even for those children. And he emphasized that education is the best gift you can give to your child. And this is a hadith from Tirmidhi, that the best gift of a father to his child is a good education and upbringing. So straight away, we know that if we work as educators or facilitators, we're doing something very prophetic in its nature. We know that the first revelation that took place, the first revelation when the Prophet was in the cave and Angel Jibreel came to him, and the first revelation was Iqra. The first word was Iqra, emphasizing education. Even the first revelation that was given to us as Muslims is about education. And there's many, many different ways that this first revelation can be, the tafsir from it, there's many different things that can come out from that, so many. The one that I like to focus on as educators is Iqra, as in meaning to read the signs, or to read the truth, or to read life. Part of education is about supporting this tiny little new human being who's come to this physical world, supporting them to be able to read the signs that Allah has placed in the world all around them. Allah created this dunya as a special environment to help us to turn to Him, to help us to understand Him, to connect to Him. And He put within this universe, He's put so many signs to direct us to Him. And part of education is about learning to read all of these signs of life so that we can turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and so that we can fulfill the purpose of our life. So I like to see it like that. And you can also see Iqra as actual physical reading, you know, or you can see it as, and if you continue in that surah, it says, Alladhi alama bil qalam, and qalam means is pen, as you know. So, you know, there's so many different ways, tafsirs for pens, but as educators, we can also see it as tools, the one who taught with tools or taught with words, right? My husband, I'm very lucky because my Malaysian husband is also a scholar. So I get to pick his brains, and I get to get all of these like tafsir books and Quran books and sit with him and say, okay, read that one, tell me this, tell me that, tell me whatever. And it's really interesting because something like this ayah, even so many years later after marriage, when we sit together, there's always, you know, beautiful connections that come up from that. But anyway, the idea here is to emphasize that, you know, education, even in the Quran, has been something which has been really put forward as important for adults, important for children, important for your deen, and important for your life in general, in all aspects. So it's education is really prophetic in its nature. And now that brings us, I don't want to talk for too long because, you know, it's late in the day and I don't want to bore you, but it brings us to the first question that I have for you. And that is, what is the aim of Islamic education? So, you know, this should be done as a group activity. So how many of you are there here right now? I can't see everybody, but 2, 4, 5, is it 8 of you, I think? So do you want to go into smaller groups to discuss this, or would you like to just discuss it as one large group? I'm going to stop sharing so I can see you all. Would you like to go into smaller groups? I can, or would you like to just do it together?
I don't mind. We can do all together or 2 groups. Is that 2 groups? 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 and 3. Or would it be 3 and 3? Or
should we just, actually, you know, I don't know where the button has gone. I think Zoom has updated their thing. So there's usually a button where I can put you into breakout groups. So I can't see that button at the moment. So let's just do it as one group for this one. And then hopefully by the next, I'll be able to do the breakout groups. So can you discuss, I'll walk away from this for a few minutes so that you have to talk to each other without looking at me. So can you discuss and what do you think Islamic education is? What is the aim of Islamic education? I'll put up the question again. What is the aim of Islamic education? Yeah. So we'll 5 minutes. So it's 7:55 where I am here. So at 8 o'clock, which is 10 o'clock your time, you've got 5 minutes. Okay, I'll step away so that I can let you have your discussion, and I'll be back shortly.
All right, come on, Ali.
Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum assalam, Ali.
So I was thinking, without like the aim of education in Islam is to learn how to navigate life in a way that is true to our fitrah, in a way that we don't we grow up to learn to control our desires. We learn right from wrong.
So basically, to be able to live as the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam lived.
Yeah, it can be connected with fulfilling the purpose of life. That's how far it goes, I think.
I think it's important as well to instill mannerisms, Islamic manners.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know, most importantly before learning anything else, really. And yeah, just loving Allah and getting to know who Allah is. Basically just to build a foundation of, you know, how you're going to follow Islam after that.
Yeah, how everything points to Allah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was even talking to my son today. And we had a date, and I was just talking to him about why do we have to follow Islam, or why do we have to pray? Why do we have to all these things? And I said to him, it's like I feel like it's like our manual that we use. Islam is our guide. Like we use this manual to follow our everyday life, to follow Prophet Muhammad, to follow the Quran.
That's a way of life.
To be guided, so we need Islam.
Just like Fida said, yeah.
Yeah. To stay on the right path.
And because like a lot of the times as well, a lot of people who like as in with people from my country, education for a woman was not valued a lot of the times, because once a woman knows her rights, she knows her worth. And so I feel like education helps you to not to be taken advantage of, to understand that as a person you have the right to be heard, to be listened to be respected. And a lot of people who don't have an education because of cultural reasons, unfortunately they don't know their rights.
Yeah,
absolutely.
They're taken advantage of.
Yeah, they're taken advantage of. That's right.
So it's Islam being like it's a way of life. So you learn through life's experiences. So, you know, education is just something that happens naturally, and
yeah, it is.
It's like it's become institutionalized, but that's I think why we have so many people like, you know, that this generation, you know, there's less respect, you know, that it's all about me attitude, because they get to you know, express their creativity, to, you know, let out their you know, energy. Like it's like a dictatorship, the education.
I agree. And I feel like that's the thing too, like a lot of children, they're not disrespectful, they're frustrated.
They hate learning.
Yeah, and they become frustrated, and that's why they act out.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
forced down their throats. It's forced on them.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Like
It's
some
coming back.
countries,
They've got
they
no
get-
autonomy.
yeah, they
Yes,
get some
yes,
countries.
autonomy.
Yeah.
It's all coming back to the fitra then, because they're not balanced. So when the
No.
child is balanced out, obviously they're in their fitra. So it's the environment that's then creating the state of, you know, being outside the fitra. What you're saying, Aliyah, yeah, exactly. We can connect that. If someone can connect that and present it to Nasiba.
This is
How's it
interesting.
gone?
I didn't know Montessori went up to, like, you know, the 18-year-old. SubhanAllah, I just thought it was an early childhood thing.
No, subhanAllah, it's like all the stages 0 to 6, 6 to 12, and it's specific stages like the 12 to 18, the adolescence. It's amazing what the weekend course was all about.
Mashallah. Inshallah, we can watch the recording of it. Was it recorded?
Yeah, I think you can ask her to send you the link.
I'm back now, so I hope that discussion went well. And yes, Montessori does go up to 18 and even beyond. There's even a philosophy about it's because it's very much in line with the fitra of the human being and in line with life. So it's really about how you can develop your fitra to your highest potential. And when you marry it together with Islam, when you marry it together with the Islamic principles, it's just so much more amazing. And I was sharing on the weekend that you know, I don't do Montessori to be a Montessori educator or to have a beautiful Montessori school. That's not my aim. It's to be a Muslim educator who can support the children's needs, support their growth, support their development. You know, I don't do this just to be into Montessori, but we use Montessori as a tool or a method because there's all this amazing work that was done, observing the fitra of the child, observing the needs of the children, observing the interests of the children at the different stages of life. I will go through that as well. We'll go through a lot of that in this course. So you'll be able to, inshallah, gain some understanding of how it's applicable to the different stages as well, inshallah. So how was your discussion? Did you come up with an aim that you'd like to share?
I think it went well really towards the end when, yeah, Aliyah, you mentioned a lot of amazing things. Maybe you can, and it connected to what Fida said.
Lovely. Would you like to share?
It was really profound, actually.
I can't remember. What was it? Was it about
just the child being frustrated?
Yeah. So like we're seeing a lot of children who have behavioral issues, for instance, and so we were saying that perhaps it's because of the education system they're in. There's no autonomy. They're all expected to act and learn at the same pace and the same thing and have very similar interests. And Islamic education is about staying true to your fitra.
Yeah.
And then what Fida, you said, like the way of life, how you connected that beautifully.
You're on mute.
Fida, you're on mute.
Sorry,
sorry, I'm here.
Islam is a way of life, and that we're constantly learning. Like, so education is ongoing, and yeah, because it's been systemized and not. Yeah, we were saying that. Yeah, kids are seen as troublesome when they're not, you know, working within that system.
Yeah.
Lovely. What ties in really nicely with this is, you know, Islam is Deen al-Fitra. Have you all heard that? Deen al-Fitra. So it's the religion of Fitra.
Yeah.
So anything that's in line with Fitra is going to create harmony, right? But when you go against fitra, or you go against the way Allah planned, or the way Allah decreed for the human being to develop, or the human being to be educated, what's going to happen? Havoc. So a lot of what we see in children who have these behavior issues or having difficulties learning, or, you know, a lot of what we're seeing is they're being forced to adapt to a system which is so far from their fitra. And naturally, what's going to happen? They're going to fight it, right? They're going to fight it because it's not natural. Whereas if the child is in an education system which is in line with the fitra of the child, we see harmony. So if you step into a Montessori school, an authentic Montessori school, where the educator is really implementing Montessori properly, you will see peace and tranquility in the classroom. The classroom will have this harmony to it because the children are allowed to operate on their fitra. Even if it's not an Islamic Montessori school, even if it's just a normal Montessori school, but it's an environment that allows the child to be on their fitra, you will see harmony. So any situation where you as an adult or the child is in a situation where you can live your fitra, you find peace. So I always ask educators and parents, when they see that there's something that's the child is being disruptive or the child is being difficult, we have to search and look for, you know, what is actually going on? What is there that is taking them away from their fitra? Either something that's happening right now or something that's happened before and they need to clear it. And once we can bring the child back to their fitra, then often we just see those behavior issues and those difficulties, we just see them melt away. So that means that as educators, we really need to understand the fitra of the child. So that's why we look at Montessori, because she is an educator who spent hours and hours and hours scientifically studying and observing the child so that she could see their fitra. She didn't use the word fitra because she was not Muslim, but it's the same thing. She wanted to study their innate nature. So instead of us starting all from the beginning and everybody just trying their hardest, and, you know, we can take her work and then we can build on that, right? So I hope you've enjoyed that first activity that we had. And we're going to have a few little ones like this throughout. Each session will have some. So just be ready with your hijabs on and your cameras so that you're able to join those. Okay, so we'll continue with that the next week. And what I want to do just really quickly is I want to just show you the course platform so that you can actually log in and familiarize yourselves with it. So let me share my screen. Okay, so this is the Rumi Montessori course platform. So you've all been signed up to this intensive 15-week Montessori overview course. You don't have to do it over 15 weeks. I know people who do it over a year, and I know people who do it over 10 weeks. It's really much based on how much you can manage and how much is useful for you. So once you have your login, you'll be able to log in and you'll see something like this. And this is actually the course that was from last year that you were added to. Do you guys want to continue on that one, or do you want me to make you a new cohort just for yourselves? What will work best?
I don't mind staying on the same one.
Yeah, if you stay on the same one, you get to read everybody's discussions. So let me show you. There's a discussion forum and we have questions, and you get to read the discussions. So we've got some over here. But if you want to go on to the new one, then it will be your own discussions between you. But the advantage of the new one will be that I will make it so that you only see the week that we're working on.
Yes, please. Could I have a new one? Could I?
Yeah. So what I might do, who wants to read the other discussions? But it's a lot of discussions. It can actually get a bit tiring. So Hannah, if you want to also be on
I
this.
don't mind whatever we agree on.
Okay. So what happens is you have, this is the first section here is just like where you have the books. So these are all like Montessori books. You can click on the links and they will take you to a book that you can download and use. And then, so these are all different books, and it talks to you about, there's an essay, if you do want to get the certificate at the end, there's an essay that you will work on. There's a rubrics for that. There's information about this assignments, and then there's a statement of honor, so that you make sure that you can not share the login and not copy materials and so on. And then we start with week 1. So for now that we've had our first live, we're going to have week 1, right? So if you look here, we have videos. The ones that have the stars are our videos from our training center. Videos that don't have the stars are additional videos that you can watch if you want more information. And sometimes I really like to give another perspective because it really helps you. So if you click on any video, you'll be able to display it. Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Welcome.
And I'm able to actually see when you watch it, or when you haven't watched it, I'm able to see. And it's there. So you can play it again and again, take notes. You can listen to it in the car. You know, you can listen to it in whichever way is convenient for you. So this first week, we have the first section of philosophy, which is really much about what Montessori education is and Montessori's perspective of education and who Maria Montessori is. And then we also start practical life. So practical life is one of the areas of the curriculum. And although you have a play group, you can still very much incorporate the principles of practical life in your play group. There's so many ways that you can do this. So these first videos that you see here, the importance of practical life and the features of practical life, these are the background behind what practical life is. So I recommend that you watch those. And then we have the practical life curriculum. So this is the full curriculum for 3 to 6. And then there's a tour for our practical life area of the classroom. This was during that time when we filmed it. So you can have a look at the tour, what we have in our school. We have this tiny little kitchen. We have all these activities on the shelves. This is a cloth washing station. We have hand washing station, the mop and bucket, and then all these activities that are on the shelf that are practical life activities. Do you guys actually have like a classroom that remains, or do you always have to pack up and set up?
No, we have to pack up and set up. So our play group is actually, we use a classroom at a local mosque, and they also use it for Saturday, Sunday schools. So no, it's not our own.
Yeah,
place.
so, you know, that it might, I mean, one of the Montessori schools that I worked in when I first trained was actually in a church hall. And every morning we used to have to bring out these shelves and then put them away again. There are ways that you can do it in a pack-up situation, and I think that IKEA has this model of shelves, really quite cheap. I can't remember the names, but actually they're foldable. And I mean, you could also search on Amazon or something. There will be shelves that just fold, like really simple shelves that just fold. They could even be shoe racks, like wooden shoe racks or bamboo shoe racks, but something which is really easy for you to move and maybe fold or unfold. It's really nice if you could get some, because it means that you can offer a lot more for the children to access. And then things like these activities that you see on the shelf in the background, you know, once you've got them on a tray, it's quite easy to just, you know, stack the trays in a box and just pack it up. So we had to do that at one point in one of the schools that I was working with, and it's a bit of work, but it is manageable. The benefit the children get out from it is so much more. It's so worth it. So do have a look at this area about practical life so you can understand what practical life is, and perhaps as a team, you can start to discuss what you can bring in.
Yeah.
What is manageable for you as a team, and if you all work together, it's possible that you can do more. Okay, so having a look at that, and then we have a section here which is about how we give a lesson. And there's really cute Malaysian children in all my videos. I think they look like dolls. They're so cute. So yeah, like this is, so how do you give a lesson or a presentation? So this is a really important video to watch, because there's a philosophy and a science behind how we introduce materials to children who are between the age of 0 to 6. So this can help you to just structure your lesson or your presentation in a way that's really effective for the children. And then we have a lesson that we use in Montessori. We call it the 3-period lesson. And basically it's a format for how we introduce any vocabulary or new concepts to the children. So those of you who are working in Arabic, we use this 3-period lesson non-stop in Arabic to introduce vocabulary. Sorry, hold on a second. So you can actually read about it and watch the videos about it. And that will help you to understand what the 3-period lesson is all about. So what I've told you so far is philosophy, background information, and a little bit about giving a lesson. And then the following section that we have is we have all of these videos for the actual materials. So if I click on any one of them, let's say I click on this one, it actually shows you step by step how to introduce the lesson to the children. So it might be too much for you to watch every single video. If you can, brilliant. But just watch a selection of the ones that you think will be relevant for you to introduce to the children. Because these activities, they all develop the child's concentration, they develop their coordination, they develop their engagement levels. So look at which ones you can bring into your playgroup setting so that the children can have that benefit. So, I don't expect you to watch every single one, but they're all there so that you can go back to look at them. And then we do have assignments. So if you are planning to complete this and to get the certificate at the end, there are assignments that you have to do. So one of the assignments is a discussion forum. But if you're participating in these lives and you're participating in the discussion, then we can kind of let that discussion forum go. But do have a look there in case you do want to what I'll do is I'll put up the one that we did today, which is about education. And then also we have 3-period lesson assignment, which is basically after you watch the videos on the 3-period lesson and you understand how it works, then you would actually tape yourself delivering a 3-period lesson to a child, and then I can give you feedback on that. So those of you who are focusing on the Arabic, you can do it in Arabic. And we have our teachers doing it in Arabic throughout all of our sessions, so the children are constantly picking up the Arabic language. But that's basically how the website works. So you log in, you get access to all of this, you watch the videos. We're saying here that you're going to really focus on the philosophy ones. And then when it comes to the actual activities, you're just going to watch the ones that you really need to watch that are relevant to you so that it's not too heavy. And you can always go back later and watch the rest. Okay. And then to work on the assignment, if you really want to complete, and this is really up to Nicole and your organization about how far, but if to get the certificate, you really need to be contributing those assignments as well. Okay, so that's how the website looks. I'm going to stop the sharing there. I'm also going to put the recording of the live. I will upload it onto YouTube. I'll share it on the WhatsApp group because I think it'll be easy for you in case you wanted to just go back and watch it, but I'll also put it on that platform. Does anyone have any questions at all about that platform? No? Yes?
I have submitted some assignment from last time.
Yeah.
So do I have to submit them again, or is it still valid?
It's still valid. That's fine. It's still valid. Those ones are still valid. So we'll just transfer them over. So that's completely fine. Yeah. Okay. So those of you who don't have access, if you can just send me a message on WhatsApp so that I can just see what's going on with that so that you can have the access for it. Okay. So I do need to go because I have to catch my Maghrib prayer, which is going to be out soon. So I'm sorry I can't stay any longer. Next week, our session is going to be a bit earlier, so I'll have a little bit more time for, I won't need to rush off for the Maghrib prayer. Okay. Is there any questions before we leave at all?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you all. So much. It's a pleasure having you all, and inshallah, I look forward to next week.
Inshallah.
If anything comes up,
Thank you so much.
thank you. If anything comes up during the week, use the WhatsApp group, share it. You know, it might be a good idea if someone can share the definition of, definition of Islamic education. You can share it on there if you want to. But, you know, anything that comes up, it would be really good. The more you engage with this and the more you share, the more benefit it's going to bring to you and to the children who you work with. Yeah?
Inshallah.
Thank you.
Inshallah. Inshallah.